It's time to talk taxes. That's right. And here to break down the recent changes and explain what it means for you is Tony D'Amico from Fidato Wealth. And we're talking about taxes, but what everyone else is talking about right now is the market had a big change in the past day and a half.
It sure has, yeah.
And is like Chicken Little, is the sky falling?
No. So I'm glad you asked that question because it's on a lot of people's minds. But you know what happened on Friday? There was a report on wage growth, and it was a really good report, which just shows you that the economy is doing well. Wages grew, and the concern was that the Fed might have to raise interest rates to kind of tepid that growth. And when interest rates go up, stocks don't like that. So we had a little bit of selling in the market to try to bring it back to equilibrium. And what this kind of chart shows you, I'll kind of simplify it here, but this is from 2000 to 2009, a really rough decade in the stock market. The bottom light blue line shows you how the S&P averaged -1% annually. But if you look at that orange line, that just shows you the power of bonds in your portfolio and the purpose of it. That was a pretty rough decade, to say the least, but bonds on average grew at 6.33% annually. And then that dark blue line shows you the impact of not being all U.S. stocks. That dark blue line is 70% U.S. stocks and 30% non-U.S. stocks, and that had the best return. Now that's if you're 100% stocks, and nobody, in my opinion, really should be 100% stocks. But you know, I want to just show the power of bonds in a portfolio. About 97% of the time, bonds.
Because that's steady growth.
Exactly. Yeah. So 97% of the time, bonds go in a different direction than stocks.
See, now that's why you need a financial planner, because he understands that. I don't. I need it explained to me.
Thanks.
So that's a lot of help. So that Fidato Wealth, that helps you a lot. Now we're talking about taxes. So the rules have changed, and the whole thing about deductions have changed now, right?
Yes, there's been some significant changes in the tax code. You know, pretty much this is a major rewrite, the biggest rewrite in tax history for about the last 31 years. And there's about 1.5 trillion in tax cuts. But whether you're going to get a tax cut or not depends upon some factors. So, you know, we know that the tax rates have been lowered, but as you mentioned, there's been some changes. So one is that the personal exemption of $4,050 per individual was eliminated. But what they did is they kind of consolidated that into the standard deduction.
Like I understand, like I used to be able to deduct that loan I had off my mortgage, and you can't deduct that interest anymore.
That's correct. That's another big change. So you cannot deduct that that home equity. You can only deduct basically the acquisition cost to acquire a home up to $750,000.
And that's a limit. That's brand new too, up to $750,000.
Yep, that's brand new too.
So that's another problem. So what's this 529 plan I hear about?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that's another big change to the tax code, and I think a favorable one. So with a 529 plan, what you're doing is you're setting aside money. It's growing tax deferred, and as long as you use it for qualified educational expenses, it's tax free. Prior to that, it was primarily used for college, but now what you can do is you can use that money to pay for elementary school, high school expenses. Now, it's typically be for private schools, but still a nice, really good change to the tax code that gives people, you know, planning opportunity there.
Right. I wonder if you could use that for sports. You know, a lot of people have big investments in sports.
That's right.
Traveling around with your kid, and you could maybe save money for that.
You know, I'm not too sure if sports qualifies, but
I would try to do it.
Yeah, you know, and really, I think another important thing there with the 529 plans, if somebody has a 529 plan and it's for college expenses, they're kind of investing that with a certain amount of time horizon in mind until they're going to need it. So if they might want to use it for, you know, elementary or middle school or high school, you might want to have a separate 529 account and invest that a little bit more conservatively than the other account because you're going to need it sooner. So you want to, I guess.
I need a financial planner.
Yeah, you maybe don't want to take this as advice to implement until you consult with a.
How about IRAs and Roth conversions? What about that?
So you've done your homework on this.
I'm trying to learn.
Great. So that's another big change to the tax code is before you could do a Roth conversion, and if you found that your income tax rate was too high, you could change your mind and do what's called a recharacterization, where you basically undo the Roth conversion. And so what the IRS is saying now is that you cannot do that any longer. If you convert your money from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, it's a permanent decision. And ideally, when you're doing that, you want to do it when you're not paying a high tax rate to make that conversion. You want to do it when it's going to benefit you the most.
Okay, I got a bunch of extra money. Can I give it to somebody and that would help me? Family gifting?
It would, yeah. So there's been some significant changes to the amounts that people can gift, and a lot of it is stemmed from the estate tax law changes. So
that's like the death tax they talk about.
Exactly, yeah. So the amount that you can give, I guess, or pass along when you die has been increased significantly. But those changes are only in play for about 8 years. So there's some concern amongst high net worth families that are in this situation. So you can give more to your family now and ahead of that. And so that's a very effective strategy. And the reason why it's important is that if you are subject to estate taxes, it's a 40% tax rate. So it can be very costly. So why planning ahead is really important.
We got about 15 seconds left. So if I call Fidato Wealth, you can help me organize all this stuff going in the right direction?
So we're a firm that pledges fiduciary duty to our clients across all advice. I'm a certified financial planner, and I think whether it's taxes or investments, this should all be part of a comprehensive plan based upon what's important to you and your family.
Too complicated for me, and that's why you're here. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.